Hi, I'm Noelle with Nova Careers, and we have a special guest today, which is my mom. She is a woman of many trades, and she's had different jobs throughout the years. So, I'm actually interviewing her today. Her name is VaNessa. Can you introduce yourself and tell us what you have done before? Because you're currently not in this role anymore.
Yes. Yeah, I'm Vanessa, and you usually see me doing the interviews for Nova Careers, but tonight I pulled in my daughter to interview me because, um, like she said, I've had different jobs over the years. We're a military family, so we moved often. And when we moved, I would have a different job um, pretty much everywhere that that we moved. So, I she wanted to bring me on here and talk about my job when I worked for Hallmark when we lived in New York. I worked for Hallmark as a merchandiser. So that's what we're going to discuss today.
Uh, that job was fun, even from my perspective of seeing you work it. So I'm excited for everyone else to hear about what all of that entails. Um, so what is a merchandiser for Hallmark? What does that entail?
Okay, so a merchandiser is a person who has the products and they put them out in the store. So most of the time, a store will have their own products. Take Walmart, for instance. The Walmart employees will stock most of the products in the store, right? But
Mhm.
Hallmark has their own people who come into the store and stock the cards for them. We would be trained. I use that word lightly because we do have, paperwork that they mail us or they send us. We actually had a handheld machine, and so we'd have to go through there, and maybe there would be videos for special holidays that we were going to be setting up. So they would do a little bit of back training that we would do at home, just watching little videos that they would send, so that we would know how to set the card section for a specific holiday. Um, so there's a lot of merchandisers that I don't think we realize. Um, because you'll see people from like Coca-Cola or Pepsi. Those are just ones
Yeah.
that I can think of to go into the store and set them up. So that's what I did for Hallmark. Um, and yeah, they didn't, a lot of people would ask me when I was doing it if they shipped the cards to my house, but they didn't actually ship the cards to my house. I got them in the back storage at the store and then put them out.
So you were kind of like a stalker
Mhm.
for Hallmark, basically, is what it comes down to for but merchandiser was your title. Okay.
Correct.
Um, what did a typical day look like for you?
I actually I had at one time I had 9 stores, and so, it just depended on the store, like Walmart, you might need to go to that store and service it 2 times a week.
Mhm.
Other stores, you might service it once a week, and other stores once every 2 weeks. Like a post office was once every 2 weeks, or maybe even if it was a small post office, because they would just have the, like, spinning display, you would just go once a month. So it depended on how many stores you had and how many you had to do that day. But I could work whatever hours I wanted. Um, so I would typically get there at 8 or 9 a.m. just so that I could get it done and get it over with. Um, but I'd go to the back, storeroom in the store and pull all the Hallmark boxes out, and then, like I said, a lot of times, if it's not a holiday, you're just taking the cards out of the box, out of the plastic wrap, and refilling all the little slots, organizing them. If the card's in your store, people are notorious for picking up a card and putting it just back in a random spot. So you would put it back where it belonged. You could scan it with your scanner, and it would tell you exactly what pocket it was supposed to go in. Um, and then a lot of times they, would turn over like these cards aren't even selling, so we're going to pull those and we're going to put new ones in that slot. And so they would send you, but each package that you would get already had the number on it, so you knew exactly where it was going. And then it was also I had to scan the cards. If there was like one or two cards left, I would scan it. And a lot of times it was our scanners were keeping inventory, so
Okay.
it knew to automatically send you those cards. Um, but say there's theft or a card is misplaced somewhere else in the store, and you only have one card left, you'd make sure that your scanner was reading that you only had one card left so that it would prompt it to send the next shipment.
Okay.
So,
That's
um,
cool.
yeah. So it was to me, it was fun. You got to work on your own time, and you also at your own pace.
Yeah.
Um, didn't no one really I mean, people did bother you because they were looking for cards. Not bother you, but they would come up to you and ask you. A lot of times you do get also, questions about the rest of the store, whatever store you were working in. I worked in a Walmart, like a Walgreens, um, the post office, and a grocery store. So they would ask you where items were in the store. I would help them if I knew where it was, if I was familiar with that store. But a lot of times you had to tell them that you don't actually work in the store, that you just work for Hallmark, and so you don't know where the items are.
Okay.
Um, yeah,
I could see people definitely. I feel like I've done that before where I go up to someone and they're like, I actually don't work at the store.
yeah,
Yeah. So
I've
I
done that too.
what kind of things are you organizing and setting up?
So the big thing was the holidays. So a lot of times, one of my biggest accounts and that had took the longest and most hours was Dollar Tree, because
Okay.
Dollar Tree has the huge display and the cards. There's a large section for the holidays.
Mhm.
So you are definitely organizing those holidays, and when a new holiday comes, you're pulling down all the old cards, maybe storing them underneath if they're just regular cards.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you were pulling out Thanksgiving and putting in Christmas, or going straight from Christmas into Valentine's Day. So you're definitely organizing the cards and straightening them. My cards always looked pristine. I had to straighten every row before I could leave the store because it bothered me not to. So
Yeah.
I still do it if I go into a store.
Uh,
Huh?
so I said that would be me too. Aside from like the greeting cards, was there anything else that you would stock or just mostly those? Because I know sometimes Hallmark has other like stuffed animals or whatever as well type of
Yes.
merchandise.
Yep. We did get Dollar Tree doesn't have that so much. Dollar Tree would have wrapping paper during Christmas that we would have to make sure was set up and stocked. But the other stores, like the grocery stores and definitely like Walgreens, would have gift bags. So we'd have
Mhm.
to make sure the gift bags were stocked, and tissue paper. We would also, like, I learned how to actually fluff the tissue paper and put it in the gift bags because we had displays where there were gift bags up there. Yeah, we had stuffed animals during the holidays, especially. Trying to think of what other items. Little like keychainy items, or little trinkets or whatever.
Yeah.
I was responsible at Walmart for all the Hallmark ornaments during Christmas.
Yeah.
So that was a long day setting up though.
No,
Definitely a long, yeah.
I'm sure it was.
It
Uh,
was fun to see all the new ornaments that were coming out though, and
yeah,
getting pick at them.
yeah, yeah. So, do you work alone or with a team?
Alone, I think when we did an overhaul of a store, I worked with a team once, and that was because there was a new store being built, and so we had to stock the whole thing and set up the
Mhm.
whole thing. I worked with a team, but usually it's alone unless, it's after a holiday and it's a huge store and you need help, then you could get help with that.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
And
Um,
my boss sorry.
no,
I had a boss who was like a regional manager, and so I covered 2 towns because they weren't too far apart. I'm trying to think. Yeah, 2 towns. But she covered like a whole regional area, so if we did need help, she would come, and help us if we needed extra help because it was
okay,
a huge reset or something.
yeah. Um, you had kind of mentioned flexibility earlier with the job and kind of just setting up your own hours and working whatever hours. So what did your schedule actually look like?
Okay, if I remember correctly, I mostly worked Tuesdays and Thursdays, because I could go out those days. And I started working, um, in the morning, and then I got another job, and so then I was doing Hallmark after I was done with that job, and then, I worked that job Monday through Thursday, so I did Hallmark Tuesdays and Thursdays after, and it would just be a couple hours after I got off work, and then Fridays I could go in and do, if I had stores that, so most of the stores would take, like the normal stores, like, Dollar Tree would take 2 to 3 hours, but I
Yeah,
had to go there once a week, just depending on how big of a mess it was, and then, Walmart could take some time too, but that was just once a week, and the um, Walgreens that I did, I can't remember, but that had a pretty big display as well. So those were things that I might do like on the Friday and work, a full day on Friday.
yeah,
So I could fit, fit those hours in, but it definitely was flexible as long as I got my stores done in that week, because it needs to be done once during the week. Some of them do have like a particular day that they want it done on. But most of them are flexible as long as it's done twice a week or it's done, at least once during the week.
yeah.
That's flexible. So,
That makes sense.
it was easy to it was easy to fit around my other schedule.
Yeah. Which is nice. I mean, to be able, even if someone wanted to use this as a side hustle, um,
Mhm.
it's nice too because of the flexibility that it brings. You kind of answered this already, but how much control do you have over your time? I know you said some stores would maybe want you there at a specific time to restock and stuff, but
Yeah. Um, Again, it's hard for me to remember exactly, but I think most of them were flexible. I think that I did at one time run into a store that wanted me there at a specific time.
mm,
But my regional boss was really good at working with me, and she knew that, um, I did quality work, so she was willing to work with me and, she would talk to the stores and say, um, "We understand that you want this done on Wednesday, but she can't get there until Thursday." So, um, and I think the stores are pretty flexible, they just kinda put out a time that they want you there or a day
yeah,
that they prefer you to be there, but it didn't matter too much for most of the stars. I can't remember any of them being super particular.
that's good.
Yeah.
Um, what type of person would love this kind of schedule?
Um, well, I think a person who needs a flexible schedule for
Mhm.
sure. If you're a mom and you want to work when the kids are at school or something,
Mhm.
this would be a good fit. Someone or dad, not to discriminate. If if you do have a job and you want extra income and you can work in, after hours and go get this done,
Yeah.
it fits into that schedule as well. Also, I would say a person who or one thing that's important for the person who does this sort of job would be to be organized
Mhm.
because you are setting your own schedule. So you have to be able to organize your schedule so that you can get it done. You also need to be able to work independently
Yeah.
because there isn't someone looking over your shoulder. My boss might have checked in, gone to my stores and, during the week or whatever to check to make sure that I was actually doing my job
Yeah.
because there's really I mean, I guess the stores can call and say this person's not doing what they're supposed to do. Um, but yeah, just being able to do what needs to be done and be self motivated, not have to have someone telling you what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's an important thing to mention,
Yeah.
since you do have the flexibility, but also because of that, you do have to be a little bit more independent.
Hmm.
Um, and I think that leads us into my next question. Do you need a certain degree or any special training at all to do this job?
No, no training. And like I said, I was in just the merchandising in the stores. You definitely can work your way up
Yeah.
with the company and become like a regional manager or even like territory, I think, over states instead of just a regional area because my boss
Or
had bosses
maybe
all over.
star.
Yeah. Um, so there's definitely room for growth, but you can start out as a merchandiser and work your way up if you so choose to.
That's
Um, yeah. And I looked before we hopped on here, there's a lot of jobs available out there.
yeah.
Like every state has several
I'm sure it's
Hallmark
probably a
merchandiser jobs.
needed job. I know you said that. One of the places you restocked at was at Dollar Tree, and those are just everywhere. Wow.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and they sell mostly Hallmark cards, so
Mhm.
that's cool.
Yeah,
Um, is this a good job for someone who's just starting out?
absolutely. Yep. Anybody can do it. Like I said, all you have to do is be able to work independently and a self-starter, just do the work that you're expected to do and not have to be micromanaged. If you can, follow a plan, it's really easy
Yeah.
um, to learn. You get to watch a video so you know exactly what they are expecting of you when you go into the store and restock the cards. I know it's just restocking. There's a little bit more to it from time to time.
Yeah.
There's a little training. You do have to go through some training, especially at Walmart, because you're using their ladders and different things. So some safety training, but yeah, anybody. It's a great job. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it a lot.
That's cool. I was thinking that it's a great job to start out at too, because it also teaches you responsibility and then also shows that you know how to be responsible. So, and
Yeah,
trust.
yeah.
Um, so now to the fun questions. What's something surprising about your job that people wouldn't expect?
Um, okay, well, this is good and bad, um, because you throw out a lot of cards. I tried to recycle as much as I could, but some stores would allow you to take the cards home, which is overwhelming as well because I
Yeah.
wanted to see like it's like kittens. I wanted to save all the cards.
Yeah.
It was just hard to curate that much trash.
Yeah.
and so that was the hard part. So being able to take home, um, some of the cards, I still have cards,
Well,
um, and then also, Hallmark would give us an ornament. We'd get not like a Hallmark ornament that you see in the store, it was a special, like, employee and ornament that they would give us at Christmas
oh,
when we
that's
worked,
cool.
like, when we had been there and through the holiday season.
Yeah,
Christmas is definitely it was a hard one. I knew I was putting in extra hours during, November, December,
yeah,
probably October, November, December at least,
yeah.
and then one thing that was hard, not hard, but, they tell you going in, at least my, boss did, that are s you're required to work the day after the holiday because they want those cards flipped.
Yeah.
I think there was one time when we went out of town for Thanksgiving, and I told her I wasn't gonna be back until Monday, and she was like, "That's fine." Again, that might have been her, it might have been the area that we were at because we weren't in, like, a huge city or something,
Yeah.
so,
Flipping
um,
the cards to get ready for Valentine's Day, I'm sure.
yeah, and you would get angry people. In July when I'm setting up for Thanksgiving, "Why are you doing that?" It's because I was told to, that's why I'm doing
I
it."
have to. Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
so, but,
what's your favorite part of the job? Or what was your favorite part of the job? Because 'cause you're not doing it anymore?
um, I would say being able to work, independently and just at my own pace. It really I mean, I guess there was times where it was stressful because there were a lot of cards to, um, get out, like, when you had to flip from Thanksgiving to Christmas, mm, that was a lot. That was
Yeah.
a long day, but it was probably more stress-induced because I was working another job, so I knew I had to get it done in that day,
Yeah.
but it really was a calm job, like, you were just there and, you know, working at your own pace, putting the cards out, um, getting to know the employees at the different places that I worked.
Oh,
Like, I knew all the Dollar Tree employees, I knew all of the, um well, I worked at a Walgreens, but then there was also a different drugstore that's New York specific, and so I got to know all of those, employees, and
yeah.
so just just having those relationships with the employees was fun.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
That's cool. So at least you weren't, like, totally alone by yourself because
no,
obviously there's workers at, these other places, so you do get to still work with other people in life.
yes.
Was the job physically demanding at all?
So you do have to be able to lift they probably say 50 pounds, but I don't think any of the boxes were over, like, 25 pounds probably, but you did have to be able to lift, the boxes that were full of cards, and then sometimes I think Walmart was probably the worst that they would put my boxes on the highest shelf possible,
Oh, yeah.
um, but you still like, there's always, Walmart employees in the back, so if I needed help, they were more than willing to help me.
Oh,
I
nice.
was like,
That's
"I
sweet.
can't even reach that box,"
Yeah.
and it's heavy, so, um, but yeah, I mean, it was a little bit definitely get your squats in, standing in front of the displays and putting cards in, but yeah, being able to lift a little, some of the boxes, put
Yeah.
them in the shopping cart so you can roll them out to where they need to go, and yeah, wasn't very physically demanding,
That's
but definitely needed to be able to lift some boxes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of personality would not enjoy this job?
Let me see. Um, I don't know. I guess maybe someone who I'm not sure it's a personality, but if you can't time manage on your own or you aren't very good at organization, and even that, it doesn't take much organization
Yeah.
because the card like the device and the cards are gonna tell you exactly where the cards go, so you don't really need to have your own strategy there, but just being able to work independently, I think.
Yeah.
So, when someone who needs someone to tell them exactly what to do, um, that this probably wouldn't be a good job for them, but I really think anybody could do it because
Yeah.
it's pretty chill.
That's good. Could this job lead to any other job opportunities or any other opportunities that you could think of?
I well, for sure you could work up
Walmart.
in that in the Hallmark in the Hallmark ranks there into regional and um whatever. I don't even know what the other ones are, but you could work your way up there. Also, I think merchandising, there's so many merchandising jobs that I
Yeah.
think getting your foot in the door as a merchandiser, if you work for Pepsi and you're the merchandiser and you're going to different stores and stocking, you can make some decent money doing that. So,
Yeah.
but if you're a teenager and you start out at Hallmark stocking cards in some stores, and get that experience. And that shows that you can work on your own, you can work independently,
Yeah.
um, you have those organization skills. I think it is a good jumping off place.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool. Um, I know you've probably answered this question before, and I could probably answer it for you. But what did you want to be as a teenager or when you were a teenager?
You can answer it for me?
Yeah. Well, maybe not. I don't know, actually. I was gonna say that you didn't really know what you wanted to be.
Okay. I was like, "Do you have an answer? Because I don't have an answer."
That's okay.
Um, I honestly like, if I was honest, I wanted to be a mom,
Mm,
and
that worked
I
out.
got to be a mom 2 times. Um Yeah, I don't know. That's why I started this is because when I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I've had other jobs. We may get into those jobs eventually um, on Nova Careers. Noel can
Yeah.
come on and interview me again for other jobs because I have had different jobs in different places that we've lived. And I can think of 2 other jobs 3, but 1 wasn't a paying job, it was a volunteer position. But, that I enjoyed, and so being able to experience different jobs, um, was fun for me.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know, I think with the moving around life that we had, it would have been hard for me to have a career in a certain thing unless
Yes, sir.
now I have a different job and I take it with me because it's virtual, so I can.
Yeah.
So, there's another interview.
Yeah. Uh,
I'm a woman of many jobs.
yeah. Jack of all trades. I feel like you've done them all.
I've done a
Um,
lot.
you didn't really imagine yourself doing a job like this. I don't even know, how did you come across this job?
So, I will say one thing, I didn't imagine myself doing this. I've been I'm a crafter, and so I'm a card maker, so I didn't even really shop for Hallmark cards because I would make my family their own cards.
This is
Um, but I do love Hallmark. I do love Hallmark movies. So I was excited, and I just saw it online and applied for it. And it was in our area. We lived in a small area in New York, so there
Mhm.
weren't a lot of jobs necessarily available. And so when I saw that this was for our area, I applied. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
I
cool.
I and I'm sure I was just searching online for a job because we had moved again and I need to find something different.
Yeah. Well, and living in a small area definitely narrows down your job opportunities too.
Yes. Yep.
Um, what would you say to a teen who feels unsure about their future?
Watch Nova Careers to get an idea of what mm, some of the things that are out there. And I think my brother, I interviewed him, Scott. He said, ask questions, ask people
Mhm.
questions. Don't
Yeah.
be afraid to ask questions.
Yep.
If you see someone who's doing a job that looks kind of interesting to you, approach them. People like to talk about themselves. So, ask them questions.
And
They'll open up.
sometimes, I mean, this happens a lot in college too, depending on the field that you're doing, but you can even shadow people, um, maybe for like a day or a few hours and just see what they're doing.
Mhm.
I also I mean, you have had several different jobs. So even that, even if you just start out doing something that's not crazy, but just start out and getting experience and just seeing, do I actually like this or do I not like this? I think it definitely helps a lot too. Now it's time for our quick fire questions. Early morning or late night work? What type of scenario?
Oh, well, I'm a night owl, but I don't really like to work at night. So if I'm going to work, it's probably going to be in the morning.
Early morning.
Even now, my own entrepreneurial job, I want to be in the office early.
Yeah.
So
Me too. I'm not on
I
that.
want to relax at night, but I will stay up late to do that.
Yeah, not I. Working alone or with people.
I'm probably a working alone person. Most of most of my jobs have kind of been independent. I'm trying to think, not really. Um, yeah, I guess
Independent, but
either.
you also still kind of work with people at the same time. I mean,
I
you
do.
still have interactions with people.
I do. Yeah. So I don't know.
It's
Both,
also kind
I
of
guess.
where the world is going ish too, with so many
Yeah.
remote jobs now, I'll say. Um, Favorite aisle in the store.
Favorite aisle in the store. Well, you said working alone or with people. I don't like to go out and go to the store. So,
I was gonna skip the crafts section for you.
I'm trying to think of where I go. Well, right now, maybe the baby aisle because
Yeah,
someone's pregnant. Um, I don't know. Where do I go? Clothing, probably. I like to look at the clothes.
yeah,
Guess it depends on what store I'm in, but not clothing. You would think maybe the card aisle, but I go over there and I see messy cards and it drives me crazy. So it's not that.
yeah. I've caught you organizing other people or organizing cards, and it's not your job anymore.
It's hard.
And one word to describe your job, or to describe, I guess, one word to describe that job that you were working.
Um, I think I would say chill. Like you had to get your work done, but um, yeah. I mean, you weren't working, when I went into Walmart, say, there was all the crazy going on in Walmart, but I was just focused on my cards. I didn't have to worry about, and I'm not saying this because I didn't want to interact with the customers that were in there, and I definitely would help them if they, asked me where something was, but I I was just focused on my one area. So it
Yeah,
was easy for me to just go in and do what needed to be done.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Now you have to come up with the answer to our last question. I know you've answered it before, so now you have to think of a different answer. What is one piece of advice you would give your teenage self?
One piece of advice I would give my teenage self. Um, hmm, I don't know how I answered it before, but honestly, if I look back at my teenage self and the career path that I th- I thought I would go down, maybe. Um, I love math, and so I thought, well, no, I did never think that I was going to be a math teacher. I thought maybe I would go into accounting, but I think I would say explore, research, figure out different jobs in that that are math related because those were the only two
Yeah,
things that really were told to me if I took the assessments and stuff. It was like, "Oh, you should be a math teacher or you could be an accountant." And those aren't the only 2 jobs in math. Um, Now we're in a digital world and a virtual world, and I'm currently my day job is a bookkeeper,
yeah,
and, yeah, that's needed. There's also taxes that you could do, so,
yeah.
yeah,
There's a lot of
explore the job. If you have a passion, if you are, passionate about a specific subject, um, just start researching as many jobs as you can in that subject because
yeah,
there's so many more than we think of.
yeah. Great advice. I agree. Well, thank you for letting me interview you since you've been
Thank
interviewing so
you for
many people.
interviewing me. Yes. Thank you for interviewing me, and, um, I was gonna say staying awake. She goes to bed early, but it's still a little early for her to go to sleep. But thank you for being willing to hop on here last minute and interview me.
You're welcome.